Hello everybody, welcome to another video. A video. Yay! And it's going to be a rant review on Monday. So probably a new series I'm gonna make. Well, I use my every time excitement about it's Monday. Yay! To review stuff, and well, you can guess this will be fun. And the first candidate, victim or lucky winner is the Malyan M200. Yay! Well, we're gonna change that. Yay! But first, let's run through its specs. It has, I'm using the metric system, and I took notes. It has a build plate by 120, 120, 120, and it are actual 120, 120, and 120 millimeters, despite of it looks like it isn't. It's a single extruder. This is not the original fan. I upgraded it to a 40 millimeter from the tiny puny, I guess it was a 30 or 20 millimeter fan, and which was a little too less powerful. It has a moving speed up to 160 millimeters per second. I tried to print with it till 60 millimeters per second when I stopped because I would have needed ear protection because it was so loud. Its layer height is up to 0.1 millimeters, which is okay, which is normal, and it usually works on it. It takes up 1.75 millimeter PLA ABS, and it works with PETG. I tested it. You only have to be careful with the retraction settings, but a PETG. Yay! Its extruder temperature is about 150 degrees Celsius. Its bed reaches 60 degrees Celsius. Now we come to the major selling point of this machine in my eyes. It's not the price. I got this from Hobby King for about 130 euros, including shipping, so super cheap. Its connectivity, it has a USB port, USB port, micro SD, and Wi-Fi. And it has an app, but actually, this is where the ranting starts. I can't review the app because it wouldn't work, neither on a board iPhone, a Windows phone, or Android. Several Androids, actually, because I had some of them laying around. Yeah, so let's start the ranting. I start with my experience I had, which is the other side of my script. And as you see, it's a little longer. The first thing I noticed when I took it out of the box, the frame was wobbly. I mean, not only a little wobbly, the axis, C-axis, I guess it's C, always mix them up, bended around 5 millimeters up and down. The reason for that was also it looks and sounds quite solid. Most of it is aluminum and they use self-cutting screws. Well, aluminum and self-cutting screws. Yeah, you screwed up. I had to replace about 12 screws and now it's a super sturdy frame, which is good. Well done. The next happy experience I had, don't worry, it's a little modified, that's why it's there an extra cable. It's not usually there, but I had to do it as the main power switch. So what can you screw up on a main power switch, you think? Well, this one requires a quite amount of force and tends to snap neither in the on or back into the off position, but usually it snaps back into on. So that's actually quite strange. I would suggest it snaps into off for safety, but this machine rather likes to stay on. So that's the main power switch, which is also quite fun. Then the LCD, well, The LCD is quite large, it's okay, it's full color, it's nice, but mine was broken. Got a replacement, built it in. Yeah, guess what happened? Same screen bleeding again. But to my luck, it went away after 4 months. 4 months of use. Then the next thing I tried to test was one of its connectivity features, the Wi-Fi. Yeah, well, when you put in stuff only to say it has it, the Wi-Fi is more like, well, taking byte by byte and giving it a crippled, orphan snail to put it on the SD card. It takes ages. Not only through USB, well, we know through USB it's always ages, but through Wi-Fi, oh yeah, and don't think you can use their app for that. The application, no, it won't work on Windows 8.1, 7, and Vista. Maybe I was too stupid to set it up, but I don't think so. So, oh yeah, and don't think about using Chrome or Firefox to use the browser interface. They will simply crash nearly about the half. And if you use Internet Explorer, which is the only one I was able to make it work with this machine, don't think about doing anything else. You have to leave the window open and wait for it, or you get a big, nice cross upload failed, which is quite annoying, especially if you, well, waited about 30 minutes to upload 1 megabyte of G code. So that's about the Wi-Fi. Let's start with another little issue, which is actually quite funny. This is the micro SD card. If it focus, it won't. Yeah, let's don't waste your time about that. Well, the funny thing, they don't tell you, oh, it has micro. Yeah, it has micro, but it only it's 2 gigabytes micro SD cards. If you have I believe it's over 2 gigabytes or it's over, don't let me tell rubbish, I believe class 10 it was. This thing bugger can't read it. That's also very funny because I ordered several SD cards with it, which were quite useless. Also, you have to look while plugging it in because there is enough space to simply slit the SD card into the casing and you have to unscrew the whole thing. So that's about SD cards. You can't use everyday micro SD card. You have to buy 2 gigabits below class 10. I believe it was class 10. Correct me in the comments. Well, the heat bed. So was also a selling point. This thing has a heated bed for a quite small build plate and a reasonable price. Well, there is quite a construction flaw on that. Hope you can see it. No, you can't. Maybe you can see it. No. Oh, yeah, there you can see it. So you probably noticed that there is this nice, well-mounted cable stuff around here. Well, the original heat bed goes right into the slot here. Well, technically a good idea to hide it, but as you can imagine, while moving, something maybe could tap into the cable, like breaking after 3 hours of printing. Well, that was actually very bad luck for me, but it seems it's a common failure design flaw that the cable actually rubs between the driver belt and the coupler, or even gets wrapped around it and simply torn off, broken, or everything. So I had to make this construction from a bigger diameter, and well, yeah, it's not super fancy or something to be proud of. So probably the first thing you have to repair on this machine is the heat bed, because it simply breaks. You can't do anything about it. That's really a shame, because it was heating quite fast. It's relatively easily to calibrate and everything. Yeah, but if it breaks after some hours, just leave it away or turn it off, which would probably not a bad idea too. Okay, we have the couplers. Well, these are your standard couplers, but as you know from the CR10, couplers suck. And this one suck really hard. I mean, they suck so hard there were pieces of metal of them actually getting ripped out into the filament, into the nozzle. Awesome, well done. Had to replace them. Now it works. Positive thing, the nozzle. It standardly has a 0.5 millimeter nozzle. I upgraded to a 0.5 because of the next candidate for a rant review, Zero's Marble PLA. But that's for another day. The positive thing about the, actually I have to say, it's not really the nozzle clogging, it's the hot end clogging. You get a nice little blob on your filament which can't be extruded. So usually it's enough to heat it up and simply slam it down and it works again. So that's quite easy to fix. Yeah, that was happened in about the first 3 months of use. And now it got some other long-term issues, which are, I guess, not that common. Suddenly it starts to eat the SD cards like candy. And I mean like candy. I start buying them in bulk. And since it only eats 2 gigabyte SD cards, I actually have to pay about 8 till 10 euros for a freaking 2 gigabyte SD card, which is really annoying. And the next thing it has suddenly now is actually, I don't know why it stops. It stops printing. But it doesn't stop, turn down to start menus. So suddenly, oh, it's all moving, and suddenly, freeze. Also, actually not freeze. You can press the canceling button, but nothing will happen. The heat bed will stay on, the extruder will stay on temperature, the heat bed will stay on temperature, and that's not really nice concerning safety, which is actually quite a topic in 3D printing I've heard so far. Yes, that may be a new problem or simply just a software issue. I haven't figured out a solution for that already. So that's the ranting. Woo, about 10 minutes. Nice start. Print quality. That's also something I want to say. I have several prints made in the maximum and minimum layer height of 0.1 millimeters, but I have to be honest, they rather failed. Well, that's not my biggest concern. I rather like the look of 0.2 height. Focus. Yes. So, as you can see, they're quite true to form. Everything seems fine. Maybe here, but that's overlay settings. That's my failure. You can also get, and that's probably awesome, you can get stuff like this out of it. Even with not the most awesome filament. This was printed in Zero's Marble PLA, 0.2 millimeters layer height, and it's actually quite marvelous. Also, I have the little 3D kit I made, and not made, I printed it, and actually the print quality is Awesome. I mean, it cost me 130 euros. What did I expect? Well, to work it, but that's usually everything what I expect, at least. So, summary. Is the Malyan M200 worth it? Well, that's... Many people would say yes. That's probably the reason why I make this video, because every video I saw from the bigger players, really none of them seem to address one of the issues I just mentioned. And if you do a further Google search, or search Bing or whatever you like, Yahoo or Fireball, if you're really old, you find tons of them. Like there is even a MOSFET soldered wrong on the motherboard, something that's not mentioned. We're talking about severe problems like power stopping with deleting and everything. That's a little strange. So summary, 130 euros, even with all the troubles I had, yes. 200, I saw it on Amazon, 220, no. If you get it cheap for like $100, you will have tons of fun with it. You can tinker, you learn a lot of stuff. And overall, if it works, you get a very good machine for less money. But you will have some trouble. Hope you liked it. Whenever I find something to rant about again, I'll do it on Monday. See you soon.